Welcome back, folks. We carry on talking about sport in the Western Cape. Of course, the sport federations who belong to the Western Cape Provincial Sport Confederation, our members in the Western Cape. Always very exciting to see who our athletes and coaches and administrators are in the province. Well, we spoke to him a few weeks ago, and things were a little bit different then. And this is, of course, Chris Naude from Western Cape Climbing. Chris, great to have you back on the line.
Yeah, great to be back here. Or if I'm back here, I'm sitting in Pringle Bay at the moment with slightly, technologically, it's a slightly different setup for me, but we're okay. So, yeah, sport in the climbing scenario has taken off quite nicely with outdoor exercise being allowed and people getting onto that. Cape Nature is slowly opening up all of the crags and what have you. So our outdoor climbing has really taken off nicely, with everybody desperate to get outside again, and to get out the house. The gym climbing, we've got slightly more restrictions there, but actually working quite well. They've got nice protocols in place that allow the guys to all be there and keep their social distancing, etc., and then still get on the wall.
Well, let's just talk quickly. When you mentioned, I think you mentioned 3 different types of codes there virtually. You mentioned gym climbing, and then you mentioned outdoor climbing. Some people are still watching the show right now, and when they think about climbing, they're walking up Table Mountain or that kind of thing. Just give us a quick reminder here, the difference between gym climbing and outdoor climbing.
The difference is actually not that marked, other than gym climbing is all on artificially constructed walls. So all the competitive climbing is done on artificially constructed walls, and all of the hard training is done on these artificial walls. And the reason for that really just that you can create a new climb that nobody has ever done before, so that when you compete, it's brand new for whoever's competing. On outdoor climbs, it's a little different because you've probably watched a video of somebody else climb that same climb, and you've seen how to do it. And that's essentially the big thing with climbing is the technique of how to get up a particular route. It's not just strength and endurance, but it's very popular because obviously you get to go and do this in the most amazing parts of the world, and the most amazing parts of the country.
From an athlete point of view, there's obviously been quite an impact. I mean, you've got a couple of top athletes that we've interviewed here on the show as well. David Naude, of course, junior Olympian. Georgie Dowdall, we've spoken to her as well, also absolute champ in the African ranks. How difficult has it been for the athletes to stay fit? I mean, we've spoken to some of the other sport codes which are busy with high performance components where they've had to train at home and so on. But it must be there must be quite a challenge to kind of transfer your skills and get sharp again and get fit again, moving from that sort of home-based training to where they're now able to actually do the sport in an environment where they're supposed to be competing.
Absolutely. I mean, it was actually quite amusing and somewhat stressful for the families. When lockdown was announced, all credit to the parents. They were running around buying wood and climbing holes and what have you to construct something at home quickly. So within a few days, many of them had constructed a little mini gym at home so that people could continue to climb during lockdown and continue to train. Not all of them have gone back, and most of the top athletes have gone back. Many of the parents of the children don't particularly want to let their children, even though they're allowed. They're concerned about the safety side of things and what have you.
Let's just touch on something maybe a little bit more from a competitive point of view. We know that the Olympics for climbing is, of course, this year would have been the first year for climbing in the Olympics, and we know that the Olympics has been now postponed. Do we have any news on the Olympics and climbing at the Olympics?
The part where there's news, I don't know what's happening with the Olympics. I mean, for at the current stage, as far as I know, it's going ahead. in August next year. So that's great. We had scheduled our African Championship, which was the qualifying event for the Olympics, to be in March. In fact, 2 days after lockdown. So we just missed that one and had to postpone it. So that's scheduled now for the 10th of December in Cape Town. So we should be having that, assuming all goes well with the COVID thing.
10th of December, African qualifier, competition, sport. It looks like we're getting back on track.
It looks like it. The Ugandan delegation, I've been in touch with them, and they're optimistic that they will be allowed to travel to South Africa in December. I'm not sure. I don't know how to predict these things. That's fantastic. But they're optimistic anyway. And then from that competition, we will have one male and one female climber selected to go to the Olympic Games, and then that'll actually be the last of the 20 climbers that will be competing in the Olympic Games to be named. Will be this African one.
From the Western Cape, our top athletes that will be giving it a go at the African qualifier, which I'm assuming is here in Cape Town on the 10th of December.
Yeah. That's the plan at the moment, unless things change unless we're forced to change them. Yes, so from the Western Cape point of view, it's hugely exciting because it's not only a chance for our athletes to compete and get into the Olympic Games. Those athletes have been named already. We've got about 6 people who are in eight people who are in the running. But also just from a point of view of showcasing the sport, a lot of people don't know about climbing, and we'll be live streaming it and all of that sort of stuff. So it gives the broader population a chance to actually see what it's all about, and people overseas. We're very keen that the international climbing population can get to see what we can do in this country, because I'm
looking forward to seeing what our Western Cape athletes can do. Hopefully we can follow their training progress for the next few months.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll make sure we keep you updated on that one.
Yeah, I think that'll be
so you mentioned Georgie Dorwood just now, and she's actually left now for a climbing school in America. Right. And she'll be back for the competition, but she's actually going to be spending a year doing her schooling at a school which is specifically aimed at climbing, and they travel the world to different climbing destinations while they do their schoolwork.
Chris, we're going to have to leave it at that. I'm going to say thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll catch up with you again soon, and then be able to track some of the progress of the athletes preparing for what we hope to see, our first big championship here in Cape Town.
That'll be great, and it'll be great to report back to everyone on how that's going.
There we go, folks. Chris Naude, of course, Western Cape climbing, and as you know, climbing is they're in the Olympics for the first time. So we're very excited about seeing some of our Western Cape athletes. As he said, they're preparing, and wow, we've got our first announcement of an official competition happening in Cape Town, if, of course, all the cards fall in place. So we're looking forward to that. Folks, we've still got some interesting interviews coming up. Don't go away. We'll be back in a sec.
For the skate and lunges, the idea is to jump as far to the side as possible. You'll be landing on the same leg towards which you're jumping, and the opposite hand must touch the ground. So you will be rotating around the torso, and the other foot must wrap around to touch on the ground as well. You need to first stabilize before you jump back to the other side. So if I'm jumping towards that side, left foot is the landing foot, right foot swivels around the back, and right hand touches the ground. So from here, it's up to the side,